Well, thank you for having me here tonight. It's always great to talk about the Constitution, and that's what we're going to hopefully speak a little bit about tonight. And I'll thank you also on behalf of the Houston Area Liberty Campaign for this opportunity. I was speaking at the April 15th Tea Party, which maybe some of you came to, and afterwards there happened to be a video circulating around the office, and one of the young women who worked at our office came into my office one day and said, "Well, you know, I heard your video." And I said, "Well, what do you think?" She said, "Well, you seemed awfully angry." And I said, I was angry because I am angry. What they're doing to the Constitution in Washington is a disgrace. But I'll say that. I said that to say this, that I believe that love and hate, which anger, of course, is part of, are really two sides of the same coin. If you love something, then you hate that which is opposed to it. I love the Constitution. It's the greatest document ever written by man, apart from the Bible, of course. But there's not too many of politicians, frankly, and I have to say Republicans or Democrats, who I've ever heard say, "I love the Constitution." When is the last time you ever heard a politician say, "I love the Constitution"? Now, I know there's some out there that do love the Constitution because I've seen their actions in that regard. But it still came to my remembrance that I had never heard anyone say that until recently. And it was by a politician. Unfortunately, his name is Daniel Hanna, and he is from Britain. But he loves the Constitution. And frankly, if we are to restore our country to its foundational principles, we must return to the Constitution. I am one who does not like to get involved in all the details of all this legislation. All this health bill information is just about to clog my brain. And I like to just ask another question. Is it constitutional? Of course, my answer to that and this health bill regulation is that, frankly, it is not constitutional. But I'd like to speak with you a little bit about the preamble to the Constitution tonight. And let me first of all say, I'm not an expert. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm certainly not a grand historian. However, just like you, I have a qualification that allows me to interpret the Constitution. I can read and understand English. And frankly, when the forefathers wrote the Constitution, they had that in mind, that it was not the constitutional lawyer that was going to interpret it for us, but it was us. It was we, the people, who are going to read and understand it. And certainly I believe that a simple reading of the Constitution is frankly all any of us need to understand the basic concepts of the Constitution. I can already tell I'm going to go over time, so I'm going to speed this up. I may sound like a little bit of an English teacher tonight because I'm going to stick with the basics, and we're going to talk about nouns, we're going to talk about verbs, we're going to talk about the adjectives and the prepositions that are in the preamble to the Constitution, because frankly, I think every one of those words were carefully chosen by our forefathers. They didn't leave anything out, but they didn't just mess around with words either. So let's just read through the preamble, if we would. We the people, in order to form a more perfect, we the people of the United States, I left that out. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. Notice in red, and like I said, I did not complete the whole thing, but we the people of the United States, that's the subject of the sentence. The predicate is do, ordain, and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The 6 points rather in between are the purpose of the Constitution. But we're going to go right into we the people of the United States do ordain and establish this Constitution. My thinking is that the primary words in this statement are ordain and establish. You know, I looked at this and it almost seemed redundant. Why did the forefathers say ordain and establish? What's the difference? What's the difference between ordain and establish? Frankly, I do believe that they chose these words for a particular reason. I believe establish is a one-time act. Ordain is an act of perpetuity. The Constitution was written for then, and it's written for the ages. It's written for the long-lasting life of this country. And so it was an ordination which went beyond the time of 1789 on till today. Go ahead. Frankly, when I got to this phrase, I said, actually, this word, this, is my favorite word in the Constitution. There is no other ideology. There is only one ideology that this country is based on, and it's this Constitution. By the way, we have some back there. We'd love for you to have some pocket constitutions to keep with you. But it's this Constitution. There's no other ideology. Time cannot void the Constitution. Industry nor technology can change it. Only legal amendment can change the Constitution. Those who would say, and the intellectuals would say, that our Constitution is no longer really the guiding principles of our country. And many of them and many of our leaders are acting just so. It wasn't until recently when I looked at this particular phrase and got anything particular out of it. It seems kind of simple. But I'm afraid that it's really not quite that simple. I think there's more to it here than what we really think. And I think the emphasis here should be our understanding of the word for. For, and notice that it doesn't say for the people of the United States of America. Notice it doesn't say that. It says for the United States of America. The federal government is an agency of the states. We are not the subjects. The states are not the subjects of the federal government. The federal government is a subject of the states. This is a great principle, a principle that we're abandoning to a large degree. There's some of us, some of our legislators are learning this, and we're wanting to apply it, and I congratulate them for that. The federal government is in existence for the benefit of the states. Next slide.